Malaysia to receive flood management expertise from Netherlands. Government steadfast in not pegging the ringgit. Good evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. You are watching Malaysia Tonight. I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. Well, the Netherlands respects Malaysia's stance on the Palestinian issue and agrees that there should be an immediate ceasefire to stop the Israeli attacks in Palestine. Now, the matter was conveyed by the Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte to Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim during their meeting at Sri Perdana today in conjunction with Rutte's two-day working visit to Malaysia.
Dia menjawab mengatakan pertama dia setuju supaya ada langkah-langkah menyegerakan langkah memberhentikan serangan, tapi dia minta laluan supaya dia terus menghubungi pemerintah rejim Israel dan juga melalui Qatar supaya dapat ada rundingan menghentikan serangan itu. Keduanya dia setuju langkah-langkah tambahan seperti mana dia dapat teruskan melalui Presiden Al-Fatah Sisi Mesir. Jadi saya sekurang-kurangnya puas hati kerana dia dapat memahami pendirian kita.
Meanwhile, the Premier also praised Rutte for taking a soft approach in listening and sharing his views on the Palestinian issue, in addition to giving assurance that Malaysia's views would be brought to the attention of other country leaders in Europe. He said the Dutch Premier also admitted that the sentiment of the Dutch people has changed as they used to support the Israeli attacks and the European stance, but now the majority of them no longer agree with the continued attacks. Hence, the Prime Minister said that Israeli aggressive attacks on innocent Palestinians, including children and women, as well as on hospitals and schools in Gaza, must stop. On another note, Datuk Sri Anwar said Malaysia will get expertise from the Netherlands to improve its flood mitigation system in an effort to overcome the problem of annual floods. Well, he said the expert assistance from the Netherlands could reduce Malaysia's flood management expenditure, which runs into billions of ringgit every year. Datuk Sri Anwar said he explained to Rutte on the need to improve the requirements of rivers, including in Johor, Selangor and Pahang, to tackle the flooding the country faces every year.
Saya terangkan kepada dia belanja umpamanya dalam takhir ini keseluruhan masalah banjir itu mencecah hampir 15 bilion ringgit ya. Tapi dia beritahu, dia kata kalau dengan kepakaran, dengan teknologi baru mungkin kita tidak perlukan kos setinggi itu.
The Premier added that Rutte gave an assurance to speed up the dispatch of expertise to Malaysia. The Prime Minister has asked Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir to follow up on the cooperation, including expediting the arrival process of the Dutch expert team. On a separate matter, Datuk Sri Anwar said Malaysia had also agreed to conduct excavation and recovery works for old sunken ships, including Dutch-owned vessels, in the country's territorial waters based on set conditions. Well, subsidies and price controls on chicken have been lifted effective today to enable the government to enhance various socio-economic initiatives and welfare programs, including cash assistance. Now, despite the removal of price controls, the government guarantees that there will be no sudden price hikes for the essential commodity and assures the public of a consistent and sufficient supply. On Monday, Agriculture and Food Security Minister Datuk Sri Mohamad Sabu said the government had allocated 3.8 billion ringgit for chicken and egg subsidies since February 2022. Well, he said the rationale for ending bulk subsidies for chicken was to reduce leakages of subsidies which were also enjoyed by foreigners and high-income groups. Besides implementing various initiatives for the people, these savings can also be used to provide incentives in terms of revolving fund financing to small and medium-sized breeders and microcredit schemes as working capital assistance to community farmers. Well, to ensure that chicken prices remain competitive and do not burden the people, especially those in rural areas, the government said it will continue organizing the Agro Madani and Rahmah sales program nationwide. Meanwhile, the public is advised to immediately report to the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry or KPDN if they find the price of chicken and chicken-based food excessive to the point of being a burden to consumers. Kedah KPDN Director Effendi Rajanikanth said strict action needs to be taken against traders who take advantage of the government's decision to officially end subsidies and price controls for chicken effective today.
Dan kita dapati bahawa pasaran-pasaran besar yang kita telah tinjau sebentar tadi, harga masih dalam 749, 799 dan sebagainya. Jadi saya menjangkakan dengan kerjasama semua pihak, harga ayam tetap terkawal dan tiada kenaikan akan berlaku.
Well, the Transport Ministry, the MOT, is conducting a study on the use of a new surveillance camera that is able to capture and recognize vehicles using digital plates as a measure to improve and reduce the risk of accidents in the country. Its Deputy Minister, Datuk Hasbi Habibullah, said the new feature found in the camera are expected to be able to detect the driver, vehicle license and capture the speed level of the vehicle, thus facilitating enforcement.
Mungkin akan ditambah kamera ini, tetapi bukan dalam bentuk yang ada sekarang. Di tempat-tempat yang baru, tapi masih dalam kajian, iaitu menggunakan e-plate dan sebagainya. Bukan hanya, dan pada masa ini dalam kajian itu ialah untuk melihat tentang siapa pengguna yang melanggar dan sebagainya, iaitu tentang dia punya lesen kenderaan memandu e-plate. Dan mungkin masa hadapan akan ditambah lagi features dalam itu, juga dapat menangkap tentang kelajuan. Itu kamera-kamera baru yang akan dipasang insya-Allah satu hari nanti.
On the cost of the new camera, Datuk Hasbi said the matter is still in the research stage and the actual cost would be announced if the use of the camera is approved after this. The Dewan Rakyat was told today that the Education Ministry or MOE plans to increase the number of guidance and counselling teachers if cases of bullying at schools continue to persist and show a rising trend. Deputy Education Minister Lim Hui Ying said that guidance and counselling are among the immediate measures that can be taken to address this social issue in schools.
Jawapan dia, ya memang kita akan pastikan kalau kes bully bertambah, kita akan sebab tindakan yang immediate atau seterusnya yang terutamanya menangani murid-murid sekolah adalah kaunseling, adalah bimbingan. Mereka mesti diberi penyedaran atau bimbingan yang sepatutnya untuk tahu mengapa mereka bully, mereka ingin bully, melakukan perbuatan bully, dan kaunseling adalah amat mustahak.
Lim also said that based on MOE's system Sasiah Diri Murid or SSDM statistics, bullying incidents at schools had shown an increase, with 4,994 cases recorded as of October 2023 compared to 3,887 cases last year. Well, she said all of these cases have been investigated and follow-up actions have been taken with a focus on providing guidance and counselling to those involved. The Deputy Minister added that the Ministry's objective is to ensure that bullying cases can be reduced, especially by providing appropriate guidance to both the bullies and the victims. Coming up in our business segment, Netherlands agrees to support Malaysia at December MSPO meeting.
Without enough qualified social workers, people with disabilities who are already marginalized might become more vulnerable to other social issues.
Well, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadillah Yusof said the Netherlands has agreed to support Malaysia at the second meeting regarding the European Union's Deforestation-Free Products Regulation, or EUDR, this December. Speaking to the media following his meeting with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte today, the Deputy Premier, who is also the Plantation and Commodities Minister, said they had discussed how the Netherlands can provide its support in the context of providing rationales and the best solutions to the issue.
Apa yang terbaik, khususnya kalau dapat untuk mereka menyokong mengiktiraf sijil mampan sawit Malaysia ataupun Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil yang telah kita bangunkan dan diwajibkan kepada seluruh sektor pengeluaran palm oil kita daripada ladang, termasuk juga kita membantu pekebun kecil, kilang dan segala proses itu kena mematuhi. Dan kalau ini dapat sokongan daripada mereka dan diharapkan Europe pun akan bersetuju, maka ianya sudah pasti membantu negara kita lah, khususnya dalam bukan saja palm oil tapi segala produk-produk agro-komoditi yang kita keluarkan.
Recently, Dato Sri Fadila said the MSPO scheme aims to ensure that oil palm cultivation activities in the country do not affect the environment and are in conformance with good and sustainable agricultural practices. Well, he said Malaysia will host the second meeting on the EUDR this December, which will determine whether the MSPO will be accepted as part of the audit process under the EUDR. Well, he noted that the first meeting held in Jakarta, Indonesia, on 4th August last year yielded some positive results for Malaysia. Well, the government has no intention of pegging the ringgit and imposing foreign exchange or forex controls as the country did during the Asian financial crisis back in 1998. Well, since it is not the right solution for dealing with current challenges. Well, Deputy Finance Minister Tu Stephen Sim said the national economy and financial system were now on a stronger footing to face global financial market volatility and forex movements. Elaborating, Sim said if a ringgit peg is imposed, Malaysia would lose its monetary policy freedom and need to follow the interest rates based on the ringgit-pegged currencies. He also said that maintaining a peg would require large international reserves.
Jika tidak, kita terpaksa memperkenalkan kembali langkah kawalan modal untuk mencegah dan mengatasi tekanan spekulatif terhadap ringgit. Dan sekiranya langkah kawalan modal ini diperkenalkan sekarang, kesan negatifnya terhadap keyakinan pelabur akan melibatkan kos yang sangat tinggi dan boleh menjejaskan aliran modal kerana Malaysia mempunyai pasaran modal yang jauh lebih besar pada hari ini berbanding 1998.
Therefore, the Deputy Minister added that as the central bank responsible for financial and currency market stability, Bank Negara will ensure orderly ringgit adjustments to prevent volatility in terms of sharp ringgit or US dollar movements. Well, Kenangan Research has maintained its overweight rating on the Malaysian banking sector and remains confident in the resilience of the sector amid other industries that are likely to be adversely affected by volatility in commodity prices and exchange rates. Now, in a note, the research house said as a stable rate environment likely to be sustained in the coming months, it provides an opportunity for banks to recalibrate their profit rates and regain lost margins from past deposit competition. Similarly, Maybank Investment Bank Berhad or Maybank IB retained its positive call for the banking sector of the loan growth registered an increase of 4.3% year-on-year in September 2023, slightly trailing its full-year industry loan growth forecast of 4.6%. Meanwhile, Hong Leong Investment Bank Berhad has maintained its neutral rating on the sector as there are no new positive catalysts to spur share prices significantly higher. Now, the investment bank projects the financial year 2024 and 2025 sector profit to grow at a slower rate of 5% and 4% respectively versus 13% in FY 2023. Now, this is because the net interest margin is unable to recover meaningfully, non-interest income growth to slow and no national clearing code write-backs. Well, the Human Resources Ministry will expand its invalidity scheme to foreign workers in the country to ensure they too are covered by the benefits of this scheme. Its Minister V. Sivakumar said, however, the matter is still being scrutinized before it comes into effect soon.
Kementerian juga sedang memuktamadkan rancangan untuk memperluaskan skim keilatan yang diperuntukkan menerusi Akta Keselamatan Sosial Pekerja, Akta 4, supaya turut meliputi pekerja asing yang dibawa masuk ke negara ini.
The invalidity scheme protects workers from disability or death due to any cause not related to work. Elaborating, Sivakumar said that foreign workers are currently only covered by the Employment Injury Scheme through the Employees Social Security Act 1969. Meanwhile, the minister said that the ministry is still negotiating with Indonesia regarding the cost of hiring domestic helpers, which has reached 15,000 ringgit per person. Well, the Inland Revenue Board, the IRB, is expected to achieve its tax collection target of 185.02 billion ringgit for 2023, considering that it had collected 151.49 billion ringgit in taxes as at 31st October this year. Deputy Finance Minister Dato Sri Ahmad Mazlan said the tax collection target was achievable as various efforts and innovations have been implemented by IRB. Like last year, the IRB charted its best achievement in history with a tax collection of 175 billion ringgit compared with 140 billion ringgit in 2021. Dato Sri Ahmad said creative and innovative ideas are always needed to ensure the level of efficiency, transparency and effectiveness of the IRB taxation system could be enhanced. On the 100 ringgit e-Tunai credit, the Deputy Minister said Malaysian adults aged 21 and above earning 100,000 ringgit and below annually will receive this initiative in December, which is estimated to involve 10 million recipients in the B40 and M40 groups with 1 billion ringgit funding. Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim, when launching the Madani Economy Empowering the People framework on 27 July, announced the 100 ringgit e-Tunai credit assistance to Malaysians aged 21 and above, following the success and significant impact of the e-cash program on the public. Ambulances evacuate wounded as first foreigners allowed to leave Gaza. That and more coming up in a foreign segment. The foreign news. Now, internet and phone networks were down across the Gaza Strip on Wednesday in the second such blackout in the besieged territory in less than a week. Now, the Palestinian communications company, or Paltel, said on X the incident will be experienced as a total loss of telecommunications by most residents. The global network monitor NetBlocks confirmed that Gaza is in the midst of a new internet blackout with high impact to the last remaining major operator, Paltel. Now, an AFP journalist in Gaza confirmed the loss of communications, adding that his phone still had signal because he was using an international SIM card. Another AFP journalist said only people with Israeli or Egyptian phone lines could still use their mobiles in the border town of Rafah. Internet and phone networks were completely cut last week but were restored at the weekend. And Hamas had at the time accused Israel of causing the shutdown in order to perpetrate massacres in the Gaza Strip. Well, meantime, Egypt received wounded Palestinians from the Gaza Strip via the Rafah crossing, the only linking point between Egypt and the enclave. Now, according to medical sources, a total of 81 wounded will enter Egypt today as the first batch, with a field hospital has been set up in Sheikh Suwaid in the Sinai. Now, Qatar had mediated an agreement between Egypt, Israel and Hamas in coordination with the U.S., which will allow limited evacuations from besieged Gaza. The agreement would allow foreign passport holders and some critically injured people to leave through the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza, though there is no timeline for how long it will remain open for evacuation. Meanwhile, scores of foreign passport holders started leaving war-torn Gaza after Egypt opened the Rafah crossing for the first time since the Israeli-Hamas war began on 7 October. It was not immediately clear how many people managed to leave via Rafah on Gaza's southern border with Egypt, but live footage from the scene showed crowds of people entering the Palestinian side of the terminal. Now, foreign governments say there are passport holders from 44 countries as well as 28 agencies, including UN bodies living in the Gaza Strip, where 2.4 million people have endured more than 3 weeks of unrelenting Israeli bombardment. The Klyuchevskaya Subka volcano on Russian Kamchatka Peninsula has spewed ashes up to almost 10 kilometers above the sea. The trail of smoke protracted for some 365 kilometers to the southeast of volcano, the largest and most active on the peninsula. Volcanologists warn the eruption may be dangerous for air traffic. However, the normal life of the local population has not been affected, with a small amount of ashes falling on several settlements. Heavy smog enveloped the Chinese capital Beijing today, a day after authorities issued the highest warnings for fog and haze in major northern cities and warned the public that visibility could drop to less than 50 meters. Experts said weak, cold air currents from the North Pole were a key factor behind the unusual weather. As air pollution levels in the wider Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei area, the northern part of Henan province reached moderate to severe, pollution control experts said increased industrial activities, heavy trucking and crop fires contributed to the haze. Bushfires blazed across northern New South Wales in Australia while the country continues to battle blazes in Queensland that have killed at least 2 people and destroyed dozens of homes. Footage from state broadcaster ABC showed a burnt train track and rural fire service vehicle that had been overturned by the side of a road. Up north in Queensland state, residents were ordered to evacuate their homes today as bushfires burnt out of control while firefighters, including those flown in from across the country and from neighbouring New Zealand, battled the blazes. Well, next up in sports, Saudi Arabia sold bidder to host 2034 World Cup. Well, national weightlifter Muhammad Anik Kasdan wants to make his selection into the Road to Gold RTG program a stepping stone in the country's hunt for the inaugural gold medal at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games in France. The 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games gold medalist, however, admitted that he never expected to be listed in the program and now bears the heavy responsibility to repay the trust placed in him by the RTG committee. When asked about the facilities that he will seek in the RTG program, the 21-year-old said he wants to get support services such as masseuse services that are more consistent every time he participates in international tournaments from the National Sports Institute. The RTG committee yesterday announced Muhammad Anik, who is currently ranked 10th in the Olympic ranking, is the only new athlete to join the 14 existing athletes on the RTG list. Meantime, the RTG committee will discuss at its next meeting the action to take if national badminton ace Lee Zijia fails to sign the letter of commitment to join the RTG program by 14th November. RTG committee member Dato Lee Chongwei said any decision on the issue would only be taken at the meeting, while expressing hope that Zijia could settle the agreement within the given period. Yesterday, Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh said Zijia, who is ranked 11th in the world, is the only athlete who has yet to sign the agreement and has been given 14 days to do so. Well, Saudi Arabia is in line to host the 2034 World Cup after FIFA announced that the kingdom had submitted the only expression of interest in hosting the tournament. Well, the decision will be ratified officially at the end of next year, providing all of the technical criteria are met. Saudi Arabia, which has invested heavily in football as well as Formula One and golf, is set to take over from an unprecedented tri-continental lineup for the 2030 event, which will be shared between Spain, Portugal and Morocco, with 3 matches in South America.
خبر استضافة السعودية لكأس العالم 2034 خبر يثلج الصدر، وهذا الخبر ما جاء من فراغ، هذا جاء من جهود بنيت ونجاحات تحققت في السابق، وبناء عليها تمت الموافقة على استضافة السعودية.
هذا إنجاز كبير ويمثل المنطقة كامل وليس يمثل المملكة فقط، وألف مبروك لكل مواطن سعودي وكل مقيم سعودي.
Saudi Arabia announced its intention to bid for the 2034 event on 4th October as soon as the procedure had been launched. As a result of the continental rotation, FIFA had only invited member countries of the Asian and Oceanian confederations to apply, thus ruling out the traditional footballing heartlands. At one stage, Indonesia had considered a joint bid with Australia or even with other countries such as New Zealand, Malaysia and Singapore, but on 19th October, it agreed to support Saudi Arabia's bid.
76 minit tanpa henti.
76 minutes non-stop. Transparent and concise.
Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744, 7.44 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam.
Malaysia tonight, 8:30 p.m.
Well, that concludes this evening's Malaysia Tonight. And a reminder of our top story, Malaysia to receive flood management expertise from Netherlands. Well, folks, don't forget to tune in to World Today, coming up tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. on TV2. Until then, I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. And from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching.